Even with the multiplayer boom, solo players with a heart for an immersive story will still have a lot to look forward to next year. Here are the 15 upcoming single-player games for 2020. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. We used to call this the Project Z, but once the dust settled, Bandai Namco made it clear that we'll be getting a new look at the Dragon Ball Z arc we've loved a million times before. With a focus on Kakarot's journey, that means we'll relive the iconic events of the anime through the eyes of Goku.
Kakarot, please defeat Frieza! No! Let him go, Frieza! Goku!
And all in today's new and improved visuals. And as an action RPG, expect a lot of high-flying fighting across the landmarks of the Dragon Ball universe. Bandai Namco's recent announcements have revealed that beloved characters like Cell, Gohan, and so much more will be joining in the adventure. Watch out for it on the PC, PS4, and Xbox One on January 17, 2020. Ori and the Will of the Wisps. The next adventure of this ethereal forest spirit is bigger than ever. Microsoft's award-winning Metroidvania takes you once again into the magical forest, and pushes you even further to discover what lies ahead. Move between platforms and use a variety of traversal abilities to reach from point A to point B. And like most Metroidvanias, use Ori's nimble movements to take down enemies and even unlocking blocked areas using your newfound powers. It's still an Ori game and it remains as ambitious as ever with a breathtaking art style, seamless platforming mechanics, and an emotional story that will leave us in tears. It comes out this February 11, 2020 for the PC and Xbox One. The Last of Us 2. One of 2020's most anticipated titles. This sequel takes you to the shoes of a hardened and mature Ellie with her own ways of survival.
You have no idea what you're walking into. You don't know how large that group is, how armed.
I don't care.
Still set in the post-apocalyptic world, escape from the dangers of power-hungry humans and the mysterious clickers, who are now evolved and ready to ruin your day. The game's recent upgrade comes from its new traversal mechanics. Ellie can now jump, bringing more verticality to stealth missions and taking down enemies.
Okay.
And aside from that, not only does the sequel focus more on Ellie, but Joel also makes an appearance, although it remains an enigma as to why he returns.
What the hell are you doing here?
You think I'd let you do this on your own?
Packed with more gritty action and atmospheric backdrops, The Last of Us 2's hype is palpable. It comes out this February 21, 2020.
Can you bear to see the planet suffer? Cloud.
Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Have fun.
Square Enix's rebirth of their most popular Final Fantasy title isn't just a mere remake. It's a solid restructuring of the good parts of 7 with better combat and additional content. Cloud and his buddies are ready to take down the evil corporation of Shinra, as well as the ominous silver-haired Sephiroth.
I have a favor to ask of you. Run away. You have to leave. You have to live. You bastard! Yeah!
It's a fantastic retelling of the original with the next generation presentation, especially with its stylish real-time combat akin to Final Fantasy XV. Although it's just part 1 of the bigger picture, this first episode will only cover the events happening inside Midgar, and not much is known about the future episode or maybe episodes. It's coming this March 3, 2020 as a PlayStation 4 exclusive.
Can't say this is quite what I had in mind when I asked for your help way back when.
Welcome to the first day of the rest of your death. Having fun yet?
Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Classic pen and paper RPGs weren't something you could do solo, but thanks to technology, you can say bye-bye to your DM. Now, White Wolf's Vampire the Masquerade makes a much-awaited comeback since their cult classic days way back in 2004. From the looks of their trailers, facial animations might be a little stuck in the past, but the reception from the news has been positive overall. Continue your vampiric adventures in the 21st century, and settle into the underworld gloom of nighttime Seattle. Like the classics, choices will still play a massive part of gameplay, and it comes out through your characters' backgrounds, as well as the decisions you make in the various dialogues and interactions. It's coming out on the PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One on March 2020.
They are no longer your people to save.
Doom Eternal. Delayed from its supposed November 2019 release date, there's a lot of disappointment to wade through for this installment. However, that doesn't mean we're anticipating it any less. A franchise built around splitting open demonic heads, Doom Eternal is set to upgrade the formula by adding to their multitude of monster varieties with Heaven's Hordes. Luckily for us, they're just as ugly. And to add to the beloved single-player campaign, Eternal will also have multiplayer invasions where players get to play the demons themselves. It's finally coming out this March 20, 2020.
Wake the fuck up, samurai. We have a city to burn.
Cyberpunk 2077. Early 2020 is looking pretty great so far. Among the biggest titles coming next year is CD Projekt Red's most ambitious RPG. Set in a distant future where mega corporations are at its most powerful, body modifications are becoming an obsession. And in this open-world first-person shooter adventure, step into the shoes of V as he slowly begins to discover a secret that could shake the foundations of the cyberpunk era. 2077 boasts a stellar world to explore with more verticality than any other open-world game out there. So choose your own story and let your decisions impact the game's important moments and even the ending. And what's not to love about this game when you have Keanu Reeves at your side?
Proceed. What's going on?
It comes out this April 16, 2020 for the PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. Trials of Mana. Fans of the Seiken Densetsu series, especially those in the West, have more than enough reason to rejoice. Trials of Mana, or Seiken Densetsu 3, is a remake of the 1995 classic RPG that first released on the Super Famicom. What makes this special isn't just that it's been rebuilt from the ground up to give it a full 3D makeover, but it's the fact that this will be the first time that this particular installment will have a localization for Western fans. The story remains the same as ever, but you get to experience it all over again, or for the first time with enhanced voice acting and visuals, and as well as an upgraded battle system.
Try to get away.
This is how it is done in Laurent!
So watch out for it on the PC, PlayStation 4, and the Nintendo Switch this April 24, 2020. Nioh 2. For fans of hybrid hack-and-slash RPGs with Japanese settings, Nioh delivered everything we could ever hope for in a samurai action-adventure. And now that a full-on sequel is coming up, everyone's pretty excited to see exactly what's in store. Revealing more details in the recent Tokyo Game Show, it looks like Nioh 2 is going to be a prequel with a standalone story. You play as a customized character that's part human, part yokai, and venture around the new dark realms with great Japanese warlords like Hideyoshi. While it's mainly a single-player game, defeating their new roster of yokai will be much easier with a real-time multiplayer that can accommodate up to 3 players. And as a PS4 exclusive, it's set to release this early 2020. Empire of Sin. A little from Paradox Interactive and Romero Games. Empire of Sin takes us to the high-risk times of the Prohibition era in the 1920s. That means we're diving into the mafioso life in a Chicago blooming with smoke, bullets, and blues. Not necessarily in that order. And as a character-driven strategy RPG, Empire of Sin has the feel of the popular Mafia series with the combat of the even more popular XCOM. Choose from 14 different characters and become the up-and-coming impresario in the world of crime. And to do all of that, Empire of Sin has a free roaming map for you to interact with people, as well as a world overview map that shows you all your competition. It's a blend of Mafia management, and it's coming out this spring 2020 for the PC and the Nintendo Switch. Dying Light 2. Techland's passion project returns, and this sequel gives you more freedom than ever before. And just like the first game, parkour and first-person combat remain as core elements, but this time it's more refined and brutal. It's been 15 years since humanity lost to the virus. Play as a young survivor who adapted to the infection. Use his newfound abilities to take advantage of the massive horde of the undead. In this sequel, not only you will be pitted against an even dangerous world, your choices will matter. Make decisions or sacrifices that will impact the game's story and ultimately the ending. Coming this spring 2020 for the PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. Psychonauts 2. The road for the sequel has been very tough, especially with publisher issues and funding matters. But thanks to the efforts of Kickstarter fans and the developers themselves, our dreams might finally come true. In this much-awaited sequel, Psychonauts 2 will be following up the story of the 2005 original. And in it, we'll see Raz taking up the helm once more as he notices something different afoot. From what we're seeing so far, it looks like it's gonna be another weird and delightful adventure, and it's set to release hopefully in 2020 on the PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Tales of Arise. Bandai Namco's latest Tales game veers away from the shared universe of the previous titles. For the first time in a long time, Arise takes you into a whole new world torn apart by ideologies. Still embracing that fantasy charm, play as two characters with the same goal of uniting their divided world once and for all. And aside from an original world, Arise also features a fresh cast of characters that are as memorable as any other Tales games out there. And in addition to that, its improvement of the linear motion battle system makes combat even more satisfying. No release date yet, but it's slated for a 2020 release, coming to the PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Little Nightmares 2. The Maw is ready to devour you once again in the sequel to Tarsier Studios' horrifying puzzle platformer. Announced at Gamescom 2019, there is little information we know about the game so far aside from its revealed trailer. One thing's for sure though, we know that Six, the iconic girl with the yellow raincoat, makes a comeback, but she no longer remains playable. The game's main character centers around Mono, which was a protagonist from the previous title. This sequel will further explore the harrowing atmosphere of the Maw and what lies beyond this demented dimension. It's coming out sometime this 2020 for the PC, PS4, Xbox One, and even the Switch. Persona 5 Royale. Iteration of the Phantom Thieves is a definitive version of the Persona 5 title. Royal enhances the experience of Persona 5, giving it a fresh dose of content including a new character, new dungeons, and some added story that answers some of the game's lingering questions. Although it's a new game, Royal isn't a completely new adventure. The main story remains untouched and combat has some fancy tweaks, mainly for its infiltrations or stealth sections. But all in all, it's just Persona 5, but better. So get ready to steal some hearts and reform society as Royal continues to up the ante of Persona's JRPG mechanics. Make new friends, listen to some jazzy tunes, and experience a new and improved Persona 5. No release date yet, but it's coming sometime this 2020 as a PS4 exclusive.